Greetings. Hello, and welcome to our lifestyle broadcast. For this week we'll be talking about mindset. We'll be focusing on mindset. So, firstly, I want to emphasize that mindset is very important in marriage. So it will determine, whether it will determine the impact of your marriage. It will determine whether or not your marriage is successful or whether you have a not so successful marriage. So we want to ensure that we are aware of the implications of thoughts as it relates to our marriage. How are you thinking concerning your marriage? So let us start firstly by talking about what mindset is. And my definition is that mindset, we're talking about having a marriage mindset, right? So, a marriage mindset is the assumption or the expectation that we have of our marriages. What assumptions did you come into your marriage with? What expectations do you have of your marriage for your marriage? So some persons may say that they never want to get married because as soon as you get married, the fun ends and it just becomes boring, or a lot of people change as soon as they get married, right? So these are some ways of thinking that will definitely impact the marriage, because if it is that you've come in now expecting that this thing is not going to work, or some people say marriages don't last, so the ways that we are thinking will determine how we what we experience in our marriage. So as it relates to mindset, there are two basic mindsets that people can have. And as it relates to our marriage, we can either have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. No, a fixed mindset is one that would say, we love each other and that is enough, or all that we have to make our marriage work, it's already there, so we don't need to put in any extra work. Whereas a growth mindset is one that says that marriage requires work, and then we have to be willing to put in the work to make the marriage work. So a mindset like that, a growth mindset, is one the people in that marriage are prepared to put in the work. The people with a growth mindset are people who, when the challenges come, they will, yes, they may get hit a little bit, but then they're going to regroup and come back again and say, okay, how can we fix this? Because we know that things will happen. We know that situations will arise, but we have to fight through this. We have to put in some work to figure out what went wrong and how we can fix it. So we want to ensure that the ways that we are thinking, or the mindset that we have towards our marriage, is one for growth. Growth because we are people who are not static. We live and breathe and we grow and we change. The person you were 5 years ago, 2 months ago, is not the same person you are now. And especially in your marriage, we have two different people having two different experiences outside our home. And then when we come together now, we are still growing and changing. And we have to ensure that when we grow, hopefully we're growing together, but when we are growing, we are shifting also in our ways of thinking, that because it impacts our marriage, right? So we have to learn to adapt as the need arises in our marriage. We can't be static in our ways of thinking. So maybe you had some thought patterns years ago that was informed by something that you saw somebody experience, a parent or so, and now you're in a marriage and you're still thinking those ways when it's not fair to your partner. So we have to examine some of the ways that we're thinking to see if they are still valid, because sometimes when we examine why we believe what we believe, we realize that one, that was a unique situation to that person, and we can't use it and inform the decision concerning our marriage, right? Also, maybe an interpretation was off. So we have to ensure that the information that is guiding our belief system is up to date, because you don't want to be in a marriage and the information that why you believe what you believe is outdated and it's no longer relevant, but then it is here causing havoc on your marriage, because that's what you have always known and you want to hold on to that. So we don't want to be static. We have to continue to grow and change. So the only part of it, I would say, that we want to stick by is what the Bible says about marriage. And a lot of the times I find that interpretation maybe as we come into greater knowledge, we our interpretation may be a little bit different. So maybe you heard this thing and you never even read it for yourself, but then you began to believe this way because that's what you heard. But when you got into the Bible for yourself and you see what it says, it may be a little bit different than how you originally interpreted it. So we want to ensure that one, the information that we're using is up to date, that informs our decision and our belief systems, right? And I want to say to us that we need to have a growth mindset, and we need to be adaptable, understand that as people we are changing. And so when we change, the ways that we're thinking need to be revised to ensure that we are maximizing and getting the best out of our marriage based on how we're thinking and behaving, because we think informs how we act in our marriage. So if it is that we are thinking that, for example, you're saying all men cheat, you saw that from your growing up with your parents, and so now you come into this marriage not even consciously aware that that has been something, a belief system that you've had, and you are judging your partner now based on that, but you're not even consciously aware that you have been doing it. You know, that is one, that's unfair to him, or to, well, it's unfair to him because he never gave you any reason to, but because you brought that in. So one of the first things we need to do is to examine the ways that we are thinking. Be willing to ask, why do I believe this way? Why do I think this way? Open it up and examine it, and just to see if there's any merit there. Sometimes you may have to throw it out altogether. Sometimes it is valid and you can hold on to it, but ensure that the information that we use to inform our decision, the information that informs our thought processes, are up to date and they are valid. Not using archaic information to make a decision, and it's archaic, so right now it needs to be thrown out, but it is being used to inform decision concerning our current life, and is causing havoc in our marriage. So we want to ensure that we are having meaningful marriages. And in order to do that, we have to equip ourselves with the tools. We have to have the knowledge that we need in order to make informed decision for the best life that we are able to live. So we want to ensure that we have a growth mindset, one, and that we are constantly reviewing the information that is informing the ways that we think and believe and act. All right. So thank you so much for joining our lifestyle. This is our lifestyle broadcast. I for the entire week, for this entire week, I will be going live about mindset in different areas, mindset concerning sex, mindset concerning money. But I wanted to start off basically with what mindset is and how it impacts us. So we're going to talk a little bit more in depth concerning the different aspects of our lives, that the ways that we think impact it. And I don't want it to just, yes, it is a pre-recorded video, but if you could just comment and let me know what your thoughts are, I'd really appreciate it. So feel free to share and let somebody else know and join in the conversation with me. Thank you so much for joining. I'm Marsha and I'm signing out. So thank you again and have a great, great week.